Hello everyone, welcome to day 23. Only one more day and it's over. Oh no. Today is AWS Security Secret Santa. Today's video is from Tech with Jono, and Morningstar. So what is going on TBFC today? So a stealthy infiltrated elf found some credentials in Sir Carrotbane's desk. So today we will find out what's going on in the cloud, in this case, AWS. So they explain here how we can check the credentials. So let's let the machine load and we can answer the question. Machine is running. Let's run the command to see what we can find. Okay, we need to wait a little bit, so I'll wait a little bit more. Oh yeah, okay, so we were able to finally run the code. I needed to restart the machine. I'm going to do an overview on what is IAM. It's the Identity and Access Management Service. It's used to manage users, roles, what they can do or can't do. And it's really important to define the roles well, because misconfiguring IAM has led to several high-profile security incidents in the past, like they say here. So it's a really big deal if we don't set this correct. For example, Toyota, Accenture, and Verizon have been victims of such attacks in the past. And this is really bad because they expose customer data or sensitive documents, which is the worst that comes from a security incident. And so what does IAM enable us to do? Well, we can define users, and the users is a single identity in AWS. They can have credentials such as password or access keys, and they can be used to access resources. And you can grant permissions to a user. And like that, you can define what they can't or can do. And then you have groups, which is similar in nature to user, in a sense that you can grant permissions, but instead of being to a single user, you can create groups, and like that, you can give the same permission or roles to a bunch of different users. And then you have roles. Roles not to be confused with a role in a sense of what they can do in AWS, but in a sense of it's a temporary identity that can be assumed by a user, as well as by services or external accounts. And then we have policies. Any access given to a user, a group, or a role is controlled by the IAM policies. And the policy is a JSON document that defines the following. You can see here. And then we have the hypothetical policy, as you can see here. And now what IAM component is used to describe the permissions to be assigned to a user or a group. So it's a policy. Instead of the plural policies, it's a policy. And now they're going to teach us on how to enumerate users. So first, let's try and enumerate the users here. Paste this. We can see that the only user we have is Sir Carrotbane. Very nice. And now that we know that the user exists, we can enumerate the policies that he has. And yeah, they give us here a lot of different commands that we can run. And it seems that Carrotbane is not a part of any group. So they ask us to go back here. So to list the policies, we need to go here to this, and the policy name is this. And I copy just this, and it should be this. So now let's paste this, and let's see what we have from Sir Carrotbane. Okay, so he has a lot of different actions that he can do. I see it here. And the only question that we have is what's the name of the policy? It's Sir Carrotbane policy. It's a policy that we immediately understand what's going on. So now they explain what the STS AssumeRoles action is. And it allows Sir Carrotbane to assume roles. Okay, so it's explicit what's going on. Okay, so we can list the roles to see if there's any interesting roles we can assume. Okay, so I needed to start the console because it wasn't working properly. And yeah, we have this role called Bucket Master. Oh, they see it here. And then we can list the policies. And there's one policy. And then we can see the permissions that we have for that policy. So I'm just going to skip commands because we don't need to do everything. So I need to copy this to the clipboard. I always forget that. So they show here different actions that this policy can do. So they can list all my objects, list buckets, and get object. Okay. And we then can try and assume the user with the command that they give. We can try and run this command. And while they do this, we can try and answer the question. So get object, list buckets. Yes, okay, so it's list all my buckets. And then we can run this command just to be sure that we have access to the role policy both. So they explain here what S3 is. If you haven't worked with it, please take a second and read it. And we can list the buckets with this command. Buckets are like storages or files in S3. Okay, so I must have done something wrong when assuming the role. Oh, okay, so we need to export this first. Okay, so after exporting everything, I was able to finally get my user correctly. So you need to do this step. Don't be like me, don't forget it. And now we can try and list the thingies, the objects, the buckets. Okay, and like they tell us here, there's an interesting bucket called Easter Secrets. And we can see here on the Easter Secrets that there is a class cloud password txt and the groceries txt. That's very interesting. What is he gonna order for Christmas? Who knows? Okay, so now that we have the file on our VM, we can cat it. Cat the passwords, and voila, we got the flag. It's early Christmas. Very nice. So yeah, knowing all about AWS, especially IAM, it's very important when setting up an S3 bucket or other services that AWS allows users to have. So yeah, so if you're a web developer, this is especially important when hosting things on AWS. So be very careful with your IAM, and I'll see you tomorrow.